thank you everyone for joining us today for our October PAC meeting. Hopefully you're having a great weekend and we appreciate you being here. So for those in the audience over here, they've heard me say this before, but we do have an in-person audience. So if everybody could clap and let everybody know that you're here. Okay, great. And then thank you to all of you joining us via Zoom. So with that, we'll get the meeting started. So here's just a brief overview again of our mission statement. And just a reminder that this meeting is being recorded and will be sent out next week. So you will have an opportunity to view these slides again. And also just wanted to remind you that our wonderful tech team is helping us, our technology committee for PAC is helping us today to make this run a little bit smoother. So if you are experiencing any difficulties hearing us or seeing any of the slideshows, please put it in the chat and they will let us know. So the agenda for today's meeting is that we will have executive board updates and then reports from some of our PAC committees, and then also contributions from IMSA staff, faculty, and student groups, and then our wonderful, wonderful guest speaker, Brittany Walker, coordinator of campus activities, after our general meeting. So with that, we'll start off with our executive committee member updates. First is my update. So for those who don't know me, my name is Maria Ramos, this year's PAC president. So our current executive board members are myself as president, vice president is Kyle Blay, who is in attendance here today, secretary, who is Jen Mock currently, and then treasurer, who is Alex Williams and Jen Mock. So we'll explain that in a little bit. Sophomore representative, Piyush Swain, who is also here in attendance, and at-large member, Kat Gazukis, and she is in attendance via Zoom. So first of all, we do have an opening for the PAC secretary position. So I'll give you just a few minutes to kind of read through what those qualities that we're looking for in the PAC secretary. So this position is currently open. We are accepting applications. So if you are interested in working with our lovely exec board that is here and getting involved in the PAC, feel free to complete the application by Wednesday, October 27th at 6 p.m. And for those who are interested, we will be reaching out to you as to the next steps. So the PAC secretary role is an integral part of the PAC's executive board, and as part of the executive board is a voting member. So we are looking forward to seeing who's applying, and we'll be reaching out to you as well. And also, a lot of our committees are kicking into high gear right now, so we are looking for additional volunteers to help get a lot of those initiatives done. So if you're interested in volunteering, feel free to fill out the volunteer interest form. You can also scan the QR code here. Okay, next is Kyle Blay, our vice president.
Good morning, everyone. Great to be here. I'm loud, and I think they'll get me. If you go to the next slide, I don't have a lot to say. I just want to remind everybody about the IMSA Monitoring Committee, which continues to monitor and look at ways to improve or change things going on with COVID-19 on campus and the policies. And we do have parent representatives on that committee. So if you have feedback, concerns, questions that you want to go to that committee, we do have a form that you can click on, scan here to give us that feedback so we can make sure the monitoring committee hears your concerns. So that's all I have today.
Thanks, Kyle. And next we have Jen Mock, who is coming in via Zoom.
Hello, good to be with you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, great. If you'll go to the next slide for me. So as a PAC secretary, I was tasked with opening up our Google Space. And so I'm happy to report that all of our board members, committee chairs, regional representatives have been issued an IMSAPAC.org user account. All of the those committees have been sent an email to their personal email inviting them to join the IMSAPAC.org account. Our Gmail accounts will be obsolete as of January 1st. So I'd really like to encourage everyone who who has started to open up their IMSAPAC.org user accounts to start moving information over. The sooner, the better. If we can move away from using our Gmail accounts, it helps us collect information throughout the years and not lose the data from previous committee chairs in case those committees go dormant, things like that. So I'd encourage everyone to look for their invite in their personal email and get those IMSAPAC users open up and started. If you'll go to the next slide for me, Maria. So if you'll see here, the executive board now has new email addresses: the president, vice president, secretary, treasurer, CAT member at large, the sophomore. If you want to email all of those people, all you have to do is email executiveBoard@imsapac.org, and all of us will receive that email. Or you can email us individually too. If you'll go to the next slide for me. The committee chairs, if you'll see there, Moju and Gabriela have their own user names and emails, but if you want to email the academic committee, you just have to email academics@imsapac.org. Same with all of those listed there. Aaron and Alicia will be multicultural. Susan and Ellen both have Student Life 1 and 2, but you can reach them at studentlife@imsapac.org. Friday Fest, Melissa and Carrie, you can reach them at fridayfest@imsapac.org. Hospitality will be Nisha at hospitality.imsapac.org. Transportation, so Abhijit will be bus, Jill will be transportation. All committee members will be PAC bus at imsapac.org. That's their main distribution. And that also includes Kate, which is a Region 5 Carbondale rep. So technology, you can email the technology team, and all of them will get the email from techteam@imsapac.org, or you can email them individually at their email addresses. And then again, at senior banquet @imsapac.org. So if you'll go to the next slide for me. Along with region reps, so Missy is our regional rep chair, so you can reach her at regionchair@imsapac.org, or you can email any one of those individual regions 1 through 10. If you want to email them all, there is a group distribution for region reps at imsapac.org. If you'll go to the next slide for me. In progress right now, we are trying to develop a calendar that includes all of our committee events that you'll be able to look at quickly and even sync to your own personal calendars. If you'll go to the next slide for me. So this is kind of what it looks like right now. Down at the bottom, you'll see a little Google Calendar with a little plus next to it. All you would need to do is click on that little calendar and it would sync to your personal calendars. But if you're like me, I don't want every event syncing to my personal calendar. So if you'll go to the next slide, please. What we're developing is that you'd be able to go to your own committee that you're interested in syncing up at a top tab and go to that committee. If you go to the next slide for me, please. And then inside of that tab, you could get a calendar specific to that committee and you could sync just that calendar. So we're developing that. That should roll out probably with hopefully next month. So if you'll go to the next slide for me. And that's all I have. So if anybody has any questions, committee chairs, board members, region reps can all reach out to me if they are having some trouble moving information over. There are videos I shared with you in your emails about how to forward your emails, transfer your docs over, and add things to your personal calendar that will populate on the main PAC calendar. So if you have any questions, reach out to me and I'll be glad to help.
Thank you so much, Jen. Alex, are you on the call?
Yes, I am. Good morning, everyone. I'll provide a brief treasurer update, but before I do that, I want to, Maria had mentioned at the beginning of the meeting that we have a transition happening with the treasury role. So I do want to thank Jen for making herself available to step into the role. That does create the opening for the secretary role. So just want to encourage parents to who are interested to take a look at that role. So we are going to be targeting a early to mid-November to kind of complete the transition. So we'll make it smooth so that there's no impact to activities that are happening with the PAC. So again, I want to thank Jen for agreeing to step into the role. So just want to give a brief update on the current state of the various accounts. For those parents who may not have been at previous meetings, just want to remind you that we maintain separate accounts for the main PAC account, then we have a transportation account, and then we have a senior banquet account. And then earlier this year, we opened up a savings account to hold some of our reserve funds. So let me start with the main account. Haven't had much activity there. Our current balance is $3,503, so 3503. Our senior banquet account is have a balance of $6,419. Just doing some rounding to keep the numbers simple. And then we did have some activity on our transportation account. So for those parents who signed up for bus services, we've had our first route. So our current balance in that account is $4,671. And that was after a recent payment for the 3 routes. We paid out $6,930. We do have attached to the transportation budget, we have a PayPal account with funding, which was all the contributions from the parents who bought into the bus services. So we have not yet moved the balance from PayPal to the transportation budget, but that will be happening as the future transportation expenses are coming up on a monthly basis. So in the PayPal account, from contributions from parents buying into the bus services, we have about $37,000 that will be moved over into the transportation budget to pay for the upcoming transportation expenses. And then finally, we do have a savings account that we established earlier this year. That has $23,000 in it. Of that $23,000, $10,000 came out of the main PAC budget, and then $13,000 came out of the transportation budget. And again, that's a combination of reserve monies that we set aside for expenses that we didn't necessarily expect to incur. So that is the current state of the balances of the accounts. What's shown on the screen is actual versus budget. So parents can track along what we budgeted for at the beginning of the year and kind of where we're at, getting close to the halfway point. So I'll pause there to see if there's any questions or comments. Okay, hearing none, I will turn it back over. Well, while we're here, if there are any, if you've had a reimbursement request that has not been completed, please let me know. We are showing the reimbursement form, so the process is very simple. So far, we've had reimbursements for mostly regional reps and Friday Fest committee. But if you have a reimbursement either pending or upcoming, we just have a simple form that you fill out that gives us the information to do the reimbursement, and then we ask that you send back any relevant receipts, and then we upload that documentation into our QuickBooks for future tracking, and then we have a check cut, or if you prefer, we can submit reimbursement via Zelle. So whatever your preference is, but the form is available. We don't require a lot of information, and then that's how you would request your reimbursement.
Thank you very much, Alex, and thank you for your service to the PAC these past couple of years. We really appreciate it. All right, next we have our sophomore parent representative, Piyush Swain.
Thank you, Maria. Am I audible? All right, okay, great, thanks. Thanks, Maria. My name is Piyush Swain. I'm a first-time IMSA parent. I'm also representing a very vibrant sophomore parents community. As we have realized, this batch has probably got very high concentration of what we call as first-time IMSA parents, and that's why we thought that we will adopt the best practice. Maybe we can go to the next slide. Yeah, so we thought that we'll take the best practice from what CAT did last year for the last year's sophomore parents. So we have scheduled what we call as a fortnightly meeting, and that's primarily intended to discuss our unique experiences in multiple areas. And we already had 2 meetings by now, and we have discussed number of topics ranging from student life experience to other topics like COVID updates and all. Our next meeting is on 27th, so we meet every alternate Wednesdays in the evening, 7 p.m. Central Time. So our next meeting is on this Wednesday. Yeah, we have already got around 50 parents who have already joined us in these meetings. So I'm sure there are at least quite a few more who can join us. So please do join us in these meetings because we are discussing very some topics which are very unique to us and our experiences. We are sharing those updates via Facebook, via emails as well. If you are not able to get the Facebook updates or the email updates, you can always send email to sophomore@imsapac.org, and I'll be very happy to respond to you as soon as I can. So we are actually looking forward to more and more participation from everybody, and I can tell you that a lot of the parents who probably were thinking of questions to themselves, they were able to come in and put those questions in the open forum, and many of those questions are getting clarified. We are also inviting parents of seniors and juniors. We're inviting parents who have got multiple children who have studied in IMSA. So that's a very very helpful forum to hear from the experiences from other parents. So please do try to come over and join us if you can. So that's one forum which is on the meetups, and I as sophomore representative in IMSA PAC, so my responsibility is to assist you in any ways. I do get one-off emails from some of the parents requesting questions about CACs, questions about transportations and all. So if you are not getting any response, then please do not hesitate reaching out to me, and we can try to accelerate the process for you. So with that, I'll hand it back to Maria, and I definitely look forward to see more and more sophomore parents as we go forward during the rest of the year.
Thank you, Piyush. So next we will have our committee update. First is our Senior Banquet Committee, which the co-chairs are Nisha and Rhoda. Nisha and Rhoda, are you on the call?
Hi, Maria. Nisha is on the call. Thank you. So as you all know, thank you for joining. And myself, Nisha, and I have Rhoda, who is also my co-chair. So we are actually doing the Senior Banquet Committee and all the preparations and planning together. Can you go next slide, please? So we want all the parents of seniors to save the date for June 3rd next year, that this is the night before graduation. So behind the scenes, we have been securing our DJ. We have been talking through the venue. We had contacted multiple venues and we have decided on one venue. So watch out for more information that is coming. So please, parents of seniors, the credit goes to you as well. I know the students have done a lot of work, but also parents, please save the date. It's June 3rd, and we definitely want to see you at the senior banquet on June 3rd, 2022. So next slide, please. So as you know, so parents of juniors and sophomores, I would request you to come and join the committee. And we have a lot of work and a lot of planning a lot of things to execute prior to the banquet, all the planning, and then during the banquet, when it is held, we need to execute a lot of work. So that we would need somebody for audio visual, we would need somebody for marketing, we would need some creative ideas, thoughts for decorations. So, we need help from juniors and sophomore parents. Maria, were you saying something? Can you guys
No.
hear me?
We can hear you.
Oh, okay. All right. So next slide, please. So next steps, basically, please, we need a lot of volunteers coming and joining this committee and helping us out. So we would request the juniors and the sophomore parents to join us so we can, start planning. Also, this is our email address, seniorbanquet@imsapac.org. So let us know where your interest lies, whether you want to do something creative or you want to do manage the marketing piece. So let us know where your interest lies, and then we will start planning our meetings. I and Rhoda and I would like to think about when our meetings are, and the timing should work for everyone. So join us for the planning meetings. And we would like to give the seniors an amazing evening with many happy memories to go back to. So do join us and help us out. Thank you.
Thank you, Nisha and Rhoda, for all the hard work you've been putting in to get that set up for us.
Any questions or comments, or please feel free to ask us. We'll be happy to answer any of your questions. Thanks, Maria. Thank you, everyone.
Next, we have our Friday Fest co-chairs. Yeah, and if you can come near here. Okay. And this is Carrie. And feel free, the camera's over there. Oh.
Hi. Hi, I'm Carrie Morgan, and Melissa Flynn is also here, and so is Gabi. We're the Friday Fest committee. Go ahead, next slide. First of all, we wanted to thank everybody. The September Friday Fest was a huge success. It was amazing how well everybody came together and volunteered their time and donated treats. The kids had enough food for days, which was wonderful. The next slide are some pictures, shows some pictures from some of the various Friday Fests inside the halls. None of us got to see that because it was moved indoors due to the weather, so it's kind of neat to see how well the students took over and organized everything and ran it very smoothly. Next slide, please. And please mark your calendars. The next Friday Fest is going to be Friday, November 5th. More information and signups will be sent out via email this coming week. If you do not receive anything, please check your spam folder. We did have an issue with our emails ending up in a lot of people's spam folders, but now that we've moved to the IMSA.PAC.org emails, hopefully that won't happen as often. Does anyone have any questions?
Can you just say a few words about what Friday Fest is, what the goal is?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. Well, traditionally, Friday Fest has been a large potluck event held in the main building where families donate everything. Due to COVID and the restrictions, we changed it a bit. So what we're doing is each individual hall is having its own Friday Fest outdoors, and parents are donating desserts and they need to be individually wrapped and packaged. They can be homemade or store-bought. They drop off the donations, and then we serve the kids. Each dorm has, or each hall has their own setup, but the kids get to come and choose some treats, and I'm trying to think if I'm missing anything else, but that's basically the gist of it. Any more questions?
I was going to ask you might have answered the question with the testing being so successful and all the negative results. Is there any sense as it gets colder, and the weather is not as good, if things will be able to be inside with limited volunteers, maybe wearing masks and proving vaccination status or something like that?
That was a question that I asked IMSA administration. As of right now, nothing has changed, so parents are still not allowed to be inside the dorms. So we are going to plan the event just like we did last time, outdoors, and if worst case scenario, if Mother Nature doesn't play nice, we'll move everything inside and the students will take over again. But I am hoping, you know, just like we all are, that at some point we'll be able to have at least like 1 or 2 parent volunteers indoors, especially for the January Friday Fest, because that won't be fun if we're outdoors, but if we have to, you know, we'll do it for the kids. Any other questions?
If you want, you can also post your questions in the chat. We are monitoring there as well.
What kind of item that you're looking for Friday Fest?
You know what, I will send out emails next week, and there'll be like a variety of suggestions listed. But really, the sky's the limit. Some parents last time decided instead of actually doing desserts, they did some savory treats instead. So really, I think the kids would be grateful for anything, but the main thing is they need to be individually packaged, individually wrapped, and all of that information will be included in the email.
And if you don't receive the email, can they reach out to you?
Oh, definitely, yes, at fridayfest@imsapac.org.
Are there any other questions for Friday Fest?
One last question. What quantities are helpful? Just whatever you can bring, or 30, or?
I will be sending out a link to Sign Up Genius, which is an online platform where you can sign up for slots. And each slot is worth, you can donate 20 to 25 items. So if you are like making cookies at home and you end up having, you know, enough for 60 people, you would just sign up for 3 slots. But it's up to you. It's, but generally in groups of 20 to 25. Oh, I don't have my reading glasses.
The question was, will the format change back to potluck again with students running it?
That is our goal. We are hoping that over time, as restrictions are lessened and hopefully, you know, the school is able to change things, that eventually we'll get back to the way Friday Fest was meant to be, a large potluck with parents, lots of parent volunteers and lots of food and a good time. Okay.
Any other questions? Well, thank you to the Friday Fest committee chairs for all the hard work you did. And yes, as we've all chatted about before, for the IMSA kids, it revolves around food. So anytime they can be fed, they're happy individuals. So thank you. And thank you again to all the parent volunteers who donated and came and helped out with that last Friday Fest. Next, we have the Student Life Committee. We have Ellen and Susan. Susan is here. Hi, thank you guys for having me. It's good to be in person. Ellen is via Zoom, so hi, Ellen. If you could go to the next slide. We parents have had a really busy October. I've got a couple examples of things that have been done. We've had caramel apples, treat bags, a lot of candy. We have multiple wings doing pumpkin painting or pumpkin carving in the next week or so. So it's going to be really exciting. I'm going to go to the next one. So at this time, wing parents are just dropping off. We've dropped off apples and dips, samosas, sweets, like I said, pumpkin painting, pumpkin carving. We really wanted to shout out a huge thank you to the RCs. Because parents are not allowed inside the wings at this time, the RCs have really stepped up, worked with the parents to put on some of the events, and we couldn't have done it without them. So our round of applause for the RCs. Go to the next one for me. If you would like to contact us, you can contact Ellen or I. I still have our Gmail account up. We're slowly trying to change over. Neither of us are the best at technology, so we're getting there slowly. We do still, wing parents are always available, or slots are always available. We have wing parents for every wing, but we could always use more.
So contact us if you'd like to get involved. We'll hook you up with the other wing parents in the wing. Understanding the IMSA lingo, there's the link. If your kids still are talking a language you don't understand, feel free to access that. Any questions for student life?
If you have any questions, feel free to unmute or put them in the chat. And if you do have any questions for Ellen or Susan, feel free to email them. Thank you very much, Susan and Ellen, for your hard work, and all the wing parents who have done such amazing things for the different wings. And again, to our RCs, thank you. And next we have Multicultural Committee. Aaron and Alicia, are you on the call?
Yes, we are. All right, if you can go to the next slide. All right, so the Multicultural Committee is working on basically two initiatives. The first is to support the multicultural events, and the second is supporting equity and inclusion initiatives on campus. The multicultural shows, we've been reaching out, and I think there's some change in plans for those for this year. So our group is working with the coordinators to make sure that we can support those. Don't have huge updates on that end. On the equity and inclusion end, we're doing a listening tour this fall, wanting to touch base with different faculty, staff, students, and parents around what kinds of equity initiatives are happening, and also what challenges remain, and then how we as parents can support them. So this past week, we had a great conversation with IMSA's Director of Equity and Inclusion, Dr. Adrienne Coleman, and we will be sponsoring an event with her for parents to just hear more about equity in education and the importance of equity in education, what that means. Our own belief is that every student and family on campus should feel welcomed, affirmed, and that they belong. And so we're looking at ways to support that happening. We're also diving into climate survey results. That group, led by Dr. Coleman and Dr. Tracy Ellis, who's the, I don't remember her title exactly, but head of HR and equity inclusion efforts, has been working to gather climate survey results. So that every year they put out a survey to students about the climate on campus and the degree to which students feel supported, welcomed, affirmed, all of those things. So we're going to be looking at that data from the last 5 years and just seeing what some of the issues are, and again, looking at ways that we might be able to support them. The meeting with Dr. Coleman happened this past Monday, and Nisha, I can send out notes to you. If you can drop your email or into the chat, or chat me privately if you'd like, I can send notes to you about that. And then, so our conversation happened last Monday. We don't have a date yet. I have to work with her and get on her calendar sometime in the next month. And I will post that out in all of the channels. If you have concerns or ideas for supporting multicultural initiatives, diversity and inclusion initiatives on campus, please email me and I just dropped that link into, or the email address into the, thank you, Nisha, into the chat. All right, so Peter and Nisha, I'm going to add your emails to our list to make sure that you're getting all of our communications directly. I'm still learning as a committee chair how to post things generally and when to do that, what's too much for everyone, but how to keep other people in the loop. So I will make an effort to, with the upcoming conversation with Dr. Coleman, to make sure that that gets out to a broad audience, not just to the Multicultural Committee.
Aaron, there was a chat question.
Yep. Have the surveys this year been done? If so, what were some of the themes? I don't think so. We didn't get into depth with Dr. Coleman. I have a link to previous surveys that I can drop into the chat. I don't have that available immediately, but I will look forward over the next few minutes and drop that into chat. And you can see from the previous years. I think some of the themes one of the themes that we discussed in that discussion with Dr. Coleman briefly, and that I want to look into more, is that there are reports from some students of hearing racist remarks or behavior, and that has some students of color feeling less safe on campus than obviously than we would want. Also that there are homophobic remarks and behavior that has LGBTQ folk and their friends and allies feeling less safe. So those are some issues that I think the school is aware of and continues to address in different ways with RCs, with faculty, with staff, holding different student events. But we wanted to look into that and just see what those events, what those themes are, and then again, ways that we can think about as parents, educating ourselves, holding different forums, and supporting students and faculty and staff who are working to make it a ever more inclusive and equitable environment.
I guess this is just a general comment. I'm not sure if it's for this committee or just to take back to the school. I've heard from my daughter some of the Res Life curriculum, and of course it's sometimes by a text, a sentence or two, or a very brief conversation. So I don't have much information, but like I know one week the topic was sex ed, the next week the topic was hall culture, which sounds like it was trying to get at be more accepting of all people. So I guess I'm just curious if that's the normal curriculum, or if there have been things going on this year or through survey results that I don't feel like we have a lot of information as to why or how what is being done. And if so, if there's reasoning or data behind why it's being done, not data necessarily. I mean, there's a concern, and I know you don't necessarily have a statistic for it, but so I guess that's where kind of I was wondering, like I'm hearing this stuff is being done, and I feel like we've gotten a lot of communication about a lot of great activities, but I don't feel like I've gotten a lot of data or a lot of information or communication about some of that stuff that to me is very significant as a parent to know and understand, especially since that whole first month we still have very limited access, although we can pick up our children. You're not in the halls, you're not experiencing the culture of the school. So
right. Yeah, and that's, thank you, Laura. That's the reason we're doing the listening tour and trying to get a sense of Alicia and myself, our son is a sophomore, so we're new to IMSA, and just I know there's a lot happening around these issues, around making it a welcoming place, celebrating different cultures, looking at equity, and just trying to get a sense of who's coordinating those things, and what is actually happening on the ground, and the degree to which it's been successful. I'm sure they've tried certain things that have been really successful and that they continue to do, and other things that have been less successful, or other places where they still feel like we still need to address issues because they keep coming up. So if people have ideas also as into who we should talk to, feel free to drop those in chat or email me as well. And Laura, I can add you to our list, and I'll send out the notes from our conversation with Dr. Coleman, and also make sure that you are there. She has a good sense of other things that are happening, and so the conversation that we have with her in the coming month would probably be a good. Hopefully, you would be able to join and ask some of those questions there too.
Great, thank you.
Yep.
Aaron, there was a request for Dr. Coleman's email if you have it handy.
Yep, I'll drop that in just a minute. Once I'm done and off screen, then I'll do the little research behind the scenes and drop those things in.
And Aaron, I know there is a Diwali show coming up in 3 weeks. Have you guys talked about that at all?
The which show? Sorry.
The Diwali show that's coming up on November 12th. Yeah. Yeah.
So our committee sort of split so that we have two parents, Kaz Kat Kouzakis and Krishna I believe, Arabati, and they were following up on the multicultural fair as to the events, and Krista knows about Diwali, so he's trying to get information and trying to figure out how to support that. It took us a few emails to sort of figure out who on campus is the right person to talk to. I can drop his email in, Nima, as well, if you want to reach out to him directly, if you either have ideas or want to ask specific questions.
Perfect, thank you. I know they're coming up and they were having some issues with ordering food or figuring that out.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you have any other questions from Multicultural, feel free to reach out to Erin and Alicia, and the email address is multicultural@imsapac.org. Okay.
Thanks, Mary.
Thank you very much, and thank you, Erin, for those updates. And next we have Transportation Committee, Abhijit, Jill, and Kate.
Good morning, everyone. And next slide, please. Just for those of you who may be unfamiliar with the Transportation Committee, a little background is that the school does not provide transportation assistance for students to get home for extended weekends. So one function of the PAC is this committee, the Transportation Committee. And what we, the co-chairs, do is essentially arrange a giant carpool. And if someone could mute, there's a lot of, maybe that's the in-person crowd, but it's very loud. At any rate, what we do is arrange a giant carpool, and our carpool is run by chartered bus through M&M Limousine, and parents contribute through a registration and payment process if they would like to opt in for transportation to downstate Illinois for the extended weekends. So in the past, the Transportation Committee has coordinated 2 routes, but because of great demand from families who live in the southernmost region of Illinois and the kind of this Carbondale and surrounding area, we were able to add a 3rd route this year. So the image that you see on the slide are the 3 routes. And we've already done one of our trips for the year. That was the October extended weekend. And we have 34 students who are registered for the Bloomington to Springfield to Fairview Heights route. 23 students used the Champaign to Carbondale route, and 24 students were registered for the Peoria route. There might be another bit of information on this slide. I'm not sure if you. Okay, so and so that parents have an idea of the cost of this service. Again, this is self-funding. So there's a lot of calculation that goes into determining the price. And it's, of course, all dependent on how many students register to use the service. And we then negotiate the rates with the bus company, M&M Limousine. And if you'll click again, I believe there's some footnotes to this page, which as many industries are experiencing at this time of COVID and increased fuel charges and decreased staffing, the bus company's costs this year went up over 13% from previous years. But we were able to maintain family contributions to less than 8% increase. So we're happy that we've been able to kind of contain the costs. And as Alex mentioned in the treasurer's report, there are some transportation reserves from which we can draw that were accumulated in previous years to keep the cost manageable for families. Next slide. Okay, and these are the trips for which the Transportation Committee coordinates the bus service. And again, we've already completed the October extended weekend. We're looking forward to getting kids home for the Thanksgiving break. One note is that reduced rates may be available for students in Tier 1 and tier 2 levels of the IMSA financial assistance categories. So the co-chairs work with Katie Berger in Student Life, and she reaches out to families who may be eligible for this reduced rate. And then if the families would like to take advantage of it, she informs us. So just for people to know, in case you did not take advantage of the transportation service this year, but you might be interested in taking advantage of it in future years, there are discounted rates available. And we're happy to answer more questions about that if you have any. Next slide. So next steps for families. There aren't any major next steps because registration is closed for this year. So every student or every family received two rounds of communication from us about registration. There was a pre-registration survey and there was a final registration survey. So that was open to every family. And we did, because we have to have head counts so that we can determine final costs. We did close registration on September 25th. So that is closed for the year. And how we process those registrations is that families who participate in the pre-registration and pay a deposit are in the hierarchy of being guaranteed a seat. They're at the top of the hierarchy. And then people who did pre-registration but did not provide a down payment. And then the final registrations, any late submissions. And the only really option that is still open is pay per weekend submissions. So we will let families know if there are any open seats for these upcoming trips. We'll let you know, shortly before the trip. And even if you're not registered, but if we have an open seat, we are happy to sell you a ticket if we have the space available. So that is something, if you could please watch for ongoing communication from us. And we as a committee appreciate the regional reps who kind of helped us spread the word about open seats at the first trip. So we will get the word out if we have any remaining open seats. And I do apologize, I did not update our email address to the new imsapac.org, but we are working to make that transition. So the email addresses that were shared in the beginning of this presentation today, as well as we're still monitoring the Gmail account. So if your student is registered, but for whatever reason, maybe a sports conflict, or you want to bring them home yourself for one leg of the Thanksgiving holiday, please let us know that as soon as possible for a few reasons so that we're not looking for your student and worrying about them and wondering if they're okay and where they are, but also so that we can open that seat up to somebody else who might like to take advantage of the service. And we are monitoring the COVID protocols very carefully. Some of the safety precautions that we used on our first trip were that students had to wear masks at all times on the bus. There was no eating on the bus. We arranged for some of the longer bus routes for students to have time to get off the bus to eat. And we're doing assigned seating so that if there is some infection that we can communicate properly with people about who were in contact. So, and again, we'll update parents on the COVID protocols prior to each trip as things change and evolve. And before we take questions, we would just like to express huge gratitude to all of the parents who volunteered as stop coordinators. So we had, because of the 3 routes, we had 6 stops. And parents went above and beyond to communicate and let people know when the bus was arriving and departing, and checking our students in and out, making sure everybody stayed safe. So thank you. We could not do this service without the help of parents along the routes. So their service is greatly appreciated. I think that's all we have, but Abhijit, I'm not sure if Kate is with us today, but I know Abhijit is on the call, and he and I are happy to take questions. And Abhijit, did I miss anything?
I have nothing to add, Jill. You did a great job in covering all the talking points. Thank you. There is a question here that someone was just interested in finding out the amount for single weekend, right? Please send an email to that address that you see there, and we'll work with you. It depends on what city you're traveling to, so we'll share that once you send an email to us. Thank you.
Great. Well, thank you very much to the Transportation Committee for coordinating all of this and for all the families who are participating in it. And again, to all the stop coordinators, you know, it's a huge task, so we do appreciate that. And again, imsapacbus@gmail.com is the email address you can use if you want to reach out to them. Thanks again, Jill, Abhijit, and Kate.
Thank you.
Well, and next, we have updates from IMSA administration and IMSA Campus Activities Board, CAP. So first, we have Dr. Comfort Kwaji Anderson, Principal and Chief Academic Officer. And she is, she's making her way up.
Let me come up. Where would be the best spot?
Right around here. You can send it, and the camera is right over there.
Hi, camera. So I have a few reminders for everyone. I'm going to start with my assistant, Ms. Martinez. She's actually on Zoom somewhere, so she's going to talk to you all about the Health Jones reminders. Mother, are you there?
I'm here. Good morning,
All
everyone.
right.
Good morning. I just have a couple of things to go over, and then I will give it back to Dr. Kwaji Anderson. So Herf Jones just recently last week sent out packets to all seniors. You should have received that. If not, you will within the coming week. They sent it, if I'm not mistaken, Wednesday or Thursday. And that has all the information for you regarding cap and gown ordering, which the deadline is December 14th. So make sure for all senior parents that you order your caps and gowns by December 14th. With all of the challenges we've had across the nation, if you do order them later than that, there will be an additional charge to you, but then they cannot guarantee that your cap and gown will be here. And every student at IMSA must be in the IMSA cap and gown in order to participate in graduation. So we really wanted to make sure that you keep an eye out for that packet. I will be sending out an email next week if you all haven't already received it. Juniors and senior parents actually, sophomore and junior parents received an email with some communication from Herf Jones. So for this year, that's how we will be proceeding, is that Herf Jones has sent out the packet to seniors. They have provided their information. So if you sign up to have information sent to you, they will send that via email or snail mail if you choose. But throughout, I have asked that any communication, just as a reminder, if they'd like to send it to me, then I will send it to all parents. So just to go over, senior packets went out this past week. You should receive them in the mail. The deadline is December 14th to order your cap and gown. And sophomore and junior parents have received communication about ordering class rings and class jackets. So, and then throughout the year, we'll just be whatever they send us, we will be forwarding to you. And I may just send out a general email next week with Herf Jones information, website, phone numbers, just so everyone has that information, just in case you have questions about anything. The other thing about seniors is not only the cap and gown, but we have our database of senior names, but just as a precaution, I will be sending out an email to senior parents with a form to the first contact on the student's email to verify the student name. So even though we have all your information in the system, because the diploma is so important, we just want to make sure that you confirm the name. We're not making any changes. We're not putting any nicknames, but if there's any type by chance of error in the name that we have in the system, we'd like to confirm that with all senior parents. So the one parent, the first parent listed, will receive that email to confirm that information. It will come out via a form and we will automatically get your response. And that is the information we will use to submit for all of the official diplomas. So I want to make sure that you have that information. And then the third thing was we have received an influx of phone calls and emails to the principal's office regarding Top Driver, so driver's education. And so we really just wanted to make sure that parents understood that IMSA is just what we offer to Top Driver is a space to hold all the classes for the students, and this only happens in the spring. So Top Driver dictates the schedule, they do the registration, they register for the driving lessons. And so for us, what I do is I work with a representative from Top Driver to receive their schedule, which has not been updated yet. And once we have that, we provide them with a room so they can create a communication that we will then send to all parents, just as a service. So we're not providing them with any information. So once you receive that information, they can contact you directly. You can contact them directly. But we wanted everybody to know that we in no way do registration or scheduling. All we provide as a convenience to parents and students is a space for Top Driver to offer their classes, and they pick the students up there for driving. Thank you.
Yeah.
Do you know?
Question about that?
I just wanted to say from past experience with regarding the senior gown, I would recommend for parents of seniors, while you have them home during Thanksgiving, because I know that Herb Jones asks for measurements to make sure that it's the correct gown size, that you take care of that there. Otherwise, you're going to be asking your child to have somebody else measure them while they're on campus, and who knows how that will go. So, so that's just a tip for you. You're welcome.
Yeah. Yeah. Any other questions related to what Myrta just shared?
Yeah, quick question about Top Driver. Do you know, Mirta, if we had signed up for Top Driver and we weren't able to get all of the driving lessons in, you have to do 6 in-person driving lessons, and they're hard to schedule with. And then school started, and then there was the COVID shutdown, so we had to, our program lapsed. So doing it through IMSA, well, doing it there at IMSA in the spring sounds great. Is there a way for them to do the individual driving at a Top Driver location near IMSA to get transportation from IMSA to there?
I actually dealt with this with one student, and I did check with administration. We cannot transport any student to their driving lessons, but Top Driver has worked with at least one student that I'm aware of to
pick them up there on campus.
To schedule there.
Yeah. Okay.
We are not allowing a student asked to walk, and it's over a 2-hour walk, so we did not allow that. But I know Top Driver is working with students currently to schedule that for them. And I believe by next week we'll have the schedule for spring. But if you are already just finishing up your classes, the representative had mentioned to me that you should schedule those individually. They will not be associated with this spring. There's a maximum of 30 slots that they are topping out at, just because they have limited resources, human resources, to be able to take the students out to drive. So if you are already registered, you should contact them now to try to set those up now, as opposed to waiting to the spring. I believe the spring is for new students.
Yeah, ours is going to lapse, so we will essentially have to be a new student and pay the fee again for a new course, because we weren't
Is it
able to get
okay
those
for
in.
me to share my experience as well with Top Driver? They had been great to work with. No plug-in for them. This is just my personal experience. We had paid for the full service with them, and we only were able to complete the classroom portion of it. This is the senior from last year. And since we couldn't get the behind the wheel, they refunded the whole portion of that to us. So I know that they are willing to work with the parents from IMSA.
They were not willing to work with me. I had a call with the manager. I had emails and then call with the manager. So
we have a mixed bag.
Yeah, I'm glad you got that. I unfortunately didn't have the same experience.
Sorry to hear that, Kyle.
Yeah.
All
Is there
right.
any additional? No. Okay.
There was a question about historically when the classes are held for Top Drive. I believe historically in past years it was on like Tuesday. The classroom portion was on Tuesdays and Thursday nights in past years, because my daughter took it a couple years ago. I don't know what it would be this year, right? Myrta, do you have any planning as to what that would be?
I have a meeting next week to finalize the dates. So the soonest we will know is next week. But I will send a email. I don't have that file with me here, I'm sorry. But I had some tentative dates. I don't remember what days of the week they were, but I know they had wanted to have classes like during the week of Clash, so we didn't do that. So, but next week would be the first that I would really have solid dates for anyone.
All right, thank you for that information. All right, I have some additional really important information that I'd like to share. The first is about in a session called for proposal. So available on the website, I printed this out because I didn't do slides. On the website, if you go to the website, you will see information about intercession and all kinds of information that you might need. So please be sure you check that out. An email was sent, will be sent to alumni and parents and everyone, again, from Mr. Geza, just as a reminder, but everything that you need is already on the website. The second thing that I'd like to share with you all has to do with student academic support. I hope that you all got an email from Mr. Geza. Again, I printed a copy of it. It's very detailed, and it tells you, some of the things that we're doing, because we want to make sure that our students are set up to be successful. We wanted them here. We handpicked them to come here. So our job is to work really hard to make sure that they stay here. In that email, the last part of it, we also talked about something that we're going to be doing during the second quarter. We will make sure that we're letting you all know on a weekly basis, actually, if we have a student who's been struggling with a class for more than 2 weeks, we want to make sure that you know. Of course, in addition to that, we want to talk about resources and things that we can, all of us can do together to support the students so that they can be successful. So those are the main things that I had for you today. As always, if you have questions, I'll be more than happy to answer.
Someone did ask, could you explain intercession a little bit more to families that don't really know what it is?
Yeah. So again, because I really, really want families to go get that information, instead of me telling you, I wanted to go to the website. The very first opening, there's an opening paragraph on there that defines intercession. It talks about what it is. So please go check it out. Go check it out. I'm not trying to be mean, but I really want you to go look at this information. So thank you. I appreciate that. What else?
Feel free to unmute if you have any questions for Dr. Audrey Anderson, or put them in the chat. And if you don't have any questions at the moment, what's the best email address for them to use?
Send it to print off.
Okay.
Yep.
Prinoff, PRINOFF@imsa.edu.
Yep.
Does anybody here have any questions for Dr.?
Sure.
So I can see here that their session offered, all sessions will be held remotely.
Yes.
And mandatory.
Yes, that's the decision that we made this year. We got a lot of feedback from what we did last year, and so we're going to be doing that remotely.
So now I have a question.
Yes.
Remotely from home or remotely from their door?
Remotely from home.
From home,
Yes.
okay.
Can you please repeat the question for the audience on the phone, please?
So the question was that on the when you go to the website, it does state that the intercession will be held remotely. And so a question was just confirming that fact. And
Yeah. And as you look at that information, shoot us whatever questions you have. Yep.
I think the school calendar still lists kids coming back to IMSA before intercession.
We will update that because they're coming back on the Sunday, the 16th. I know Martin Luther King Day is on Monday. They're coming back on the 16th. And I promise we'll send updated information. Yeah. Okay. One thing that I want you all to know is, based on what's going on in the world, as you all know, we're making decisions as we go. So yes, there might be information on the website that doesn't actually align with what we're saying, but I promise we're trying to make sure that we make these changes so that that information aligns. Perfect. Yep, thank you for the question. I'll be right back there, so if you have more questions, I'm still here and I'll answer them for you.
Thank you, Dr. Audrey Anderson. We appreciate that. Next, we have Ms. Yulia Houston from the College and Academic Counseling Office, otherwise known as the CAC.
Yes, good morning, everybody, and thank you so much for having me. I'm absolutely thrilled to be back. So I love this meeting, I love the gathering of all the parents, and I love telling you all about our work. So I have 3 slides. The first one is all about webinars. So I already delivered 3 webinars, and all 3 webinars are posted on the CAC website, so make sure that if you did not participate live, you can go and watch them. There are 4 webinars coming in November. Well, one is in October, so the emails will be sent a little bit later. Aside from that, I did send a fall CAC newsletter to all parents, and if all of a sudden yours went into spam, again, it's posted on the CAC website. So the CAC website is just a wealth of resources. Please, please, especially the parents of sophomores, please start, get into the habit of checking it regularly. You don't even have to save the newsletter because I always post it on the CAC website. And also the profile, the 2022 profile, really super important. So the 2022 profile accompanies every single senior student's application packet because that's what colleges need and that's what colleges request. So you can see the updated 2022 profile, again, on the CAC website. So make sure that you know exactly what we're sending to colleges along with senior college admission documents. So the next slide is all about PSAT and all of our meetings. So we did deliver a PSAT to all of our juniors. We did it in 2 gyms to make sure that we maintained the social distance. It went well. I think we had only maybe 3 students or 4 students absent, and those students have precise instructions on what to do, how to qualify for the National Merit Competition, even though they did not take PSAT because there are some alternate ways of doing it. We are meeting with our seniors 3 times in the fall, and I think you know that already because I think I sent that information in the newsletter. However, parents are not, clearly cannot possibly travel to IMSA to meet with us, and we don't want them to come to meet with us. It's just for seniors only. But the notes from those meetings, I always send to parents as well. So make sure that you always check the notes because the moment the meeting is over, a little bit later, I send the bullet points of things we discussed, so then you can go over with your senior students to see if everything is clear. We're also going to meet with sophomores this fall 3 times. Our very first meeting is next Wednesday, and it's at 10 o'clock. And we're going to be talking to them about course registration process. It's a little bit earlier than we usually hold this meeting because this meeting usually takes place, I want to say probably like first 10 days of November, but that's okay. So we will walk them through the whole entire catalog, how to choose courses for next year, what the course selection process looks like. So we're meeting with them in 3 groups, in 3 large groups. So it's going to happen in October. And then our next meeting will be in November. And the November meeting with sophomores will be spent on registering them to use Naviance, at which point I will turn around and send registration codes to all sophomore parents. So as early as November, all sophomore parents and sophomore students should be registered to use Naviance and start thinking about colleges. In our very final meeting with sophomores, a big meeting, will be in December, and this is when we will begin preliminary discussions about college admission process. AP registration process is closed, so the payments were due yesterday. So right now we are sitting at about 700 AP exams that I will need to buy for roughly 274 students. However, that number probably will change and definitely will change simply because Mr. Abraham, who's our registrar who oversees the AP registration process, sent an email to students who registered for the AP exams that we will not run. So that number is going to go down a little bit. But right now it's 700 to 74. So to give you kind of a sense of where we are in terms of a regular AP registration process in the regular year, not this year. So it's usually about like 250, 260 students, and it's about 630, 650 exams. So there's no, nothing special about this year. And then finally, the final slide is my favorite slide because it's all about seniors, because seniors are CAC's favorite students, always are. So 163 out of 199 applied to University of North Urbana-Champaign, which is kind of a stunning. It's only if you do the math, like 36 students did not apply, which is a very, very low number. So right now, our 199 seniors requested 2,542 college application packs to be sent to colleges. So if you do the math right now, I don't know who can do that math, I cannot. So if you divide 2,542 542 by 199, so it's roughly, it's more than 10, I know that, right? It's more than 10. So right now they're sitting at the large number, so our average number of application packets is usually between 6 and 8 for our seniors. So the number is going to come down, toward the end of the application cycle in January, because, so right now they're telling us they're applying. Well, let's see what happens, because what oftentimes happens, does not match their original plan. But right now it's a really, really large number. And then senior parents, please, please, please start checking your students' Navient accounts to make sure to see what we send to colleges and when, because this is how you will monitor your students' application process. Also, senior parents, please do attend my webinar, which is going to be next week and on November 2nd. And I'm going to go over the whole entire application process to make sure that you follow along, to make sure that you're not confused where your student is within that process. So that webinar is only for senior parents, and I will deliver it next Tuesday. That's all for me. Does anybody have any questions?
There was a question from a parent. You talked about meetings. Are there meetings coming up with juniors?
So the meetings are due in December. I'll be talking about that in November at the November PAC.
And is the AP registration, they wanted someone clarifying, that's for spring testing, correct?
May. So the all APs will be delivered during first 2 weeks of May. Yes, yes, yes.
And then,
thank you so much for helping me with
this. Is this registration information being presented exclusively for SAT/PSAT or also for courses for second semester?
Which information the person is referring to?
Aaron, are you able to clarify what your question is?
Yeah, I think I know the answer. The second semester courses, sophomores already have them, so there isn't.
Yeah.
I thought I heard that they were meeting with counselors to discuss their classes for next year, but that's not the case.
Right. So they're not meeting with us yet. They will meet with us in February to choose their courses for next year. The meeting next Wednesday is to give sophomores a big picture of what the course registration process looks at IMSA for the next 2 years, simply because it's a different process from a regular public school. In the public school, you just assign a course. At IMSA, we ask them to choose classes. So we want to make sure that they understand how to choose them.
And I'm sorry, are you sending that information to parents as well?
No, it's not. There's no information to send. I will send the really, really detailed information in February when we actually will begin the registration process. The meeting on Wednesday, like I said, is just to give sophomores an understanding of how IMSA functions. So it's nothing specific. Nobody will be choosing anything. We don't even have courses for next year's lineup yet. So it's just, we're going to be saying, we're going to be looking at the course catalog for this year, pretending it's for next year, telling them how to look for math, science courses, how to understand what prerequisites are. So it's just a, kind of a like how-to meeting. But the real meeting will take place in February.
Has the deadline making the AP payments already?
Yes, last Friday was the deadline for making all the AP payments. Yes.
Okay. If a student wants to take AP exams at their local high school, are they able to do that?
Yes, absolutely. You can do that. However, you need to be very careful in making sure that you're not registered for 2 exams on the same day, one at IMSA, one at your local school, because you will never make the commute. Exams are pretty long. They're about 4.5 hours each. And so if you have one exam that starts at 8 and another exam that starts at 12, you will just never, ever be able to drive all the way to Schaumburg or, whatever.
Is the link to the Navient page on the CAC website?
Yes. So the link to Navient, so everything's on the CAC website. So senior parents and junior parents, yes, they can log into Navient using CAC website. And the sophomore parents will be registered in November.
Are there updates on hiring for the CAC?
Good one. There should be updates coming soon or shortly. I don't have any updates at the moment, but they should be coming soon.
All right.
Okay?
There's one more question.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, that's
Sure.
If there are some students who are supposed to be aligned with the CAC person to be identified, where do they find the alternate CAC?
So right now, there's really no need to worry about that. So all of our seniors, we split seniors between the 3 CACs for the rest of the school year. So the seniors are not orphaned, the seniors have a CAC, and that CAC will stay with the seniors until the rest of the school year. With sophomores, we are meeting in 3 groups, and we'll meet in 3 groups all throughout the fall, regardless when we will hire a new CAC. The junior meetings, our very first meeting is going to take place in December 4th. I'm very confident we will have a plan in place by December 4th. So right now, there's really no need to worry about anything at this moment.
And I just wanted to chime in, thank you, Leah, for mentioning, something about the PAC. We are actually actively interviewing, and we have 2 candidates that we're going to be moving to the next phase of our interviews, and so I'll let you all know what happens.
Thank you very much, Yulia, for all
You are
the
very
updates.
welcome. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.
Thank you. And if you have additional questions for her, she had her email up on there, ura@imsa.edu, right? Thank you very much. You're welcome. And next, we're going to have updates from the Campus Activities Board, which is Nachi and Rashmi. Are you on the call?
Rashmi's not here, but I will be talking. So I'll continue. So I'm a junior campus activity board member, and I'll be explaining our work here at CAB in place of Director Gerardo Paramo. So next week we will be holding a fall festival week. Monday we will have pumpkin carving and painting, which we will then use to decorate all around campus. So as you exit the in-person meeting today, you'll notice the to-be-carved pumpkins at the center of campus around Circle Drive. Tuesday, the senior class club will be selling taffy apples along with other fall treats such as apple cider and pie. Wednesday, CAB, along with Student Council's Big Sibling Committee, will be hosting an event where upperclassmen sibling will be doing fun activities with our underclassmen siblings, such as a movie showing and cookie decorating. Thursday, we will hold a campfire with students contributing scary stories and with snacks being served. And Friday, the departments on campus will be running a trick-or-treating event where students can visit places to get candy along with a costume contest with gifts and prizes. So the same day, the pumpkin carving contest will be judged and our winners will be announced. So our final day of Fall Festival week, we'll start with a 5K called Trick or Trot, which is Halloween themed, as part of our senior class club. And later that day, we have invited a hypnotist named Jim Wand, and he has been a reoccurring guest at IMSA with great success. And then we will end our day with an on-campus haunted house, which the senior class club, along with CAB and other student leaders, will help us run. So all these details will be formally announced very soon. So we have a very exciting week planned, which will be very fun for all the students. And we would like to encourage you to attend if you're available next Saturday for our 5K and festival.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Nachi, for those updates. It sounds like you have a fun week ahead for the students. So thank you so much. And where's the best place to reach out to you if they have questions?
So I think Brittany could handle a lot of the questions too, but my email, I can just send in the chat quickly.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you.
Jerry's too.
Thank you so much. And we'll just quickly go over some of the other things that we've got going on. So the next PAC meeting is Saturday, November 13th at 10 a.m. So the plan is still to have this hybrid in person and via Zoom. So we hope you're able to join us then. And you'll have this in the recording, but we do have that free gift of the cookbook that was put together last year, along with what Student Life Committee had shared, which was a lexicon, and again, upcoming PAC events, and just information on the Board of Trustees meetings that are coming up. And if you're not part of the Facebook group, the link to the Facebook group. And again, our contact info, theimsapac@gmail.com if you have any questions. So next, I'd like to introduce Brittany Walker, our coordinator of campus activities. She is our speaker this year, or this month.
Oh, yeah.
This whole year. Brittany, so if you just give us a second, we're going to swap out. She's going to connect her computer for her presentation. So hold on a bit. Thank you. I'm not. Okay, so you need to do that before that presentation. Okay. And do you have a? Don't think I do actually. Let me tell you.
there yet. That's what she's sending me the link. 1 second, up there.
So as we're waiting for Brittany to get connected, if any of you have any questions in the on the chat, you can feel free to put it on the chat or unmute. And we should be set up in just 2 seconds.
One that I need to screen.
Could you make her co-host, please? Okay, please.
All right, hello everyone. Can you hear me? We're good? Sound good? Visual good? Awesome. Well, good morning. I'm Brittany Walker. I'm the coordinator of campus activities. I have the fun task of making all of the fun in between the academics and residential life for your students. So basically, we fill in the gaps and create that overall amazing IMSA experience that's part of the culture that we love here. I'll just quickly go over some of the things that happen within our clubs and organizations. So we have co-curriculars, and our co-curriculars are actually overseen by our athletic director. That's because our co-curriculars are typically competition-based. So those kind of fall under him. And I do believe Rick Palmer, our athletic director, will be here at some point in the near future at one of your meetings.
In our December meeting.
Awesome. So he'll be able to discuss a little bit more about the co-curriculars. And then some of these other things that are listed are just the types of programming that are offered, as well as any of the clubs and organizations that are kind of underneath our umbrella, which I'll talk about in a little bit. You'll see on here a few other things. So at the very bottom, service. So we do have a service aspect. I'm sure you all know that your students have to have a certain amount of hours. So there is someone that's in charge of the student service and leadership. And then the school-wide programs are programs that are more like talent and things that may take place through this, the room that we're in right now, which is N2. So anything kind of outside of the clubs and organizations and co-curriculars and athletics will take place in school-wide programs. So just a few things about how student activities work. We do have a student life office here. Within student life is actually going to be our school counselors. So students come in there and they can speak with them if they have any questions. It's the athletic director, myself, Dana Gannett is in there, and she kind of oversees student discipline, leadership, things like that. Katie Berger, who we all have seen here at our PAC meetings, who oversees all of us. And then we will have a new member joining our team. Her name is Carly, and she'll be overseeing the student leadership and service that's coming up actually in the next week. So she starts next week. Student council is who a lot of our clubs go through. So there's a chartering process to be an actual official club on campus. There are some students that have unofficial clubs, which is acceptable. There's a Dungeons and Dragons club. That's just a group of students who have a shared interest. They didn't meet the deadline to sign up, but the chartering application process takes place in the spring. So it's really to get our upperclassmen, so our current sophomores and juniors who are going into their junior and senior year, to let us know what clubs they're interested in having. More than likely, it's a returning club. And then we just review their application, look at their year outlook, make sure they have an advisor so that they are going to be a club that is going to be successful in the coming year. So that process takes place in the spring because we found that a lot of those clubs like to work over the summer in preparation for that following year. So they get chartered and they are accepted in the spring, and then they do whatever they like to do over the summer to prepare for the school year in the fall. And when we start in August, we usually have an involvement fair so that all of our students can learn more about those clubs and figure out if they would like to be a part of those boards and being a member. Right now, we have 59 chartered clubs, which is a sweet spot for us when you have 650 students. You want to have plenty of options, but not too much that it's overwhelming and students feel like they have to be involved in everything. Some resources that come along with being a chartered club under student council include some funding. So let's say such and such club wants to have a speaker. We can help them with a speaker. We had the ping pong club request new ping pong tables. We got them ping pong tables. So that's just another bonus of being a charter club is you get these additional resources. They also have access to sharing information about their club. So we have IVC, which I'm sure you've heard your students talk about. That's a Facebook page called IMSA Virtual Campus that has pretty much all of our flyers, any upcoming events will all be listed on that platform. Much like the PAC page, it's just for student activities and things like that. They're able to send listserv emails. So if they want to send an email to all students or our staff announce page, as a chartered club, you do have access to doing that. So, you know, when it comes to being chartered, it's just more of the perks and getting your name out there and getting more students to join in that capacity. We started at the end of last year a new software called Presence.io. This is something that students, staff, parents, and even outsiders who, you know, potential students potentially, can have access to. So it is a software. We're looking to actually get the app version of it, but this will be something that you'll hear us talking more and more about in the coming years that will allow us to see and have access to clubs and organizations right away. So if you look up there right now, you'll see all of our clubs and orgs that are listed. We haven't gotten to the space where we're actually putting events and things so much, but we eventually want to get it to that point because unlike IVC, if you're familiar with Facebook, if someone comments on one post, it just keeps getting jumped back up. So other things can kind of get lost in the shuffle there. With Present, a student can go on and say, what's happening today? And it'll tell me everything that's happening today in a calendar format. I can also look up by category and say, I'm looking for an event that has food, because they're always looking for pizza and cookies, right? So a club can say, you know, for my event, we're going to have free cookies. So that means food will be one of those categories that students can search. So it's just a little bit more user-friendly, and it allows students to figure out what's happening right now without having to like search through the IVC and the emails and all that different stuff that can kind of get cluttered, right? So that's something that we'll be implementing, and like I said, parents will be able to see some things. Anything that's outward facing is more generic, so it's like a description of what those clubs are, not so much the events that are happening. That's going to be part of our single sign-on, which is all of our in-campus users, so our students and staff. Then another place that students can get information is just the Student Council website. And on that Student Council website, they have forms if they're trying to request funding, any updates on clubs. There is a universal, I forgot what it's called. We call it the USB, but students, if they have any questions, comments, concerns, which students use this all the time, they can send almost an anonymous message that says, you know, I'm concerned about this taking place in this space or with this person. And then we meet weekly with Student Council and we address those things and try to figure out how to help the students in that way. So if there's any problems with students and they have questions, the USB on the Student Council page is a great way to access students who can help get those questions answered. And I'm not sure if there are any of the comments in the chat are for me, but I'll wait till the end. I'm trying to get us through. So events and activities, like I said, that's what we do here. So I just wanted to point out two groups that do a lot with events and activities. Nachi mentioned earlier, Campus Activities Board. We do a lot of the big major events that take place. So when we have the the hypnotist that's coming on campus, that's sponsored by CAB. So they meet weekly to discuss ways that students can be more involved in a large scale of events beyond those club meetings. Our peer multicultural educators, they oversee our cultural club. So that's just another group of students that look specifically at our culture club and our any of our identity clubs. So that could be like groups like Spectrum or any of our faith-based organizations, as well as our cultural and ethnic clubs, okay? One thing about that, we had talked about culture shows. I'll just briefly say that is happening this year. There's discussions on how that will look, but it's in person for students at least. We know that much. There will be some recorded options, and we'll figure out if that's going to be a live stream for parents or how that works, but for sure, the event is taking place. Those dates are actually already scheduled.
Our first culture show, which was mentioned earlier, is Diwali, and that takes place the weekend of November 12th and 13th in here in the gym. That's typically in our auditorium that is currently being used for a classroom, so it's going to take place in the gym, which is actually a bigger space. And so they're going to have a great time trying to fill that space with all the love and the culture that they've always shown in our shows. So I'm super excited about that. Mental health is always something that we want to focus on. These students, it could be stressful. There's so many things. Your academics are so important. You're thinking about your future and all these things. So we want to make sure that we're taking care of ourselves and our students. So I just want to briefly mention, we did have MHI Week, which we talked about, I think, at our last meeting, which was amazing. Goli Gabe was one of our speakers from that. We did a Zoom session. She talked about mindfulness. She talked about yoga practices and things like that, all the way from Southern California. So her vibe was really nice and welcoming to the students and parents. We had some parents on there as well. But we're doing something now called Mental Health Mondays. That's going between student council and our counseling staff. So we had our first this past Monday, which was a mental health fishbowl right here in N2 with some staff. And we just kind of had some staff and students discuss ways to kind of combat or get through different mental health issues and things like that. So it was really nice to have a staff perspective. And then next month, for Mental Health Monday, we're going to have a yoga session with one of our wellness faculty. Some things to keep in mind, we have fundraisers and sales all the time, and this is important for parents to know. One, because we're always going to be sending you emails asking you to buy random things. It's always fun stuff, right? But things that I want to highlight that your students may be talking to you about, and you're like, why do you need another $10? We have things called meal carts. So these meal carts typically used to take place within the halls. Students would literally put food on carts and go hall to hall. It's not so COVID friendly right now. So we found that we can do this during concessions. So students actually come to us and it's one space and things are being very nicely distributed to students. We had our first meal cart from Portillo's last week, I believe. We sold out. Your students love chocolate cake shakes. Those are the most terrifying things to think of. They sold out right away. We bought 50 of them. They were gone in like 20 minutes. So I say that to say, you know, if your students are asking, there's always a meal cart happening, probably twice or so a month. So there are the options of paying for those things are usually cash. We did find that we can do, I believe, PayPal or some sort of virtual option, and then we're hoping to get access to a card reader. So just so you know, if you're seeing like just random IMSA charges on your shared account. The other thing to know is when it comes to those pricing, so it's a fundraiser for our class clubs, and our class clubs are the clubs that are fundraising money ultimately to go towards their prom senior year. So it's sophomore, junior, and senior year. We sell it at a higher price, so it's a fundraiser, but it's still lower than what they would be paying if they were doing like a Uber Eats or any of those meal ride sharing things. So we try to keep it in a comfortable place, and then we try to get as many people as we can for the one restaurant. So the students are definitely looking to see what restaurants their peers like, and then they'll be doing those sales, like I said, a couple times a month.
Good question.
Yeah.
Too. So just so parents have some clarification, for those meal carts then, is it a pre-order? And then, or is it on the date of?
It's a little bit of both. So we do a pre-order form to kind of get an idea of what people want, but then the sales themselves are still first come, first serve. So it's not necessarily a pre-order. Students aren't necessarily, they're not going to miss out as long as they're there at that time. The other important thing to know is that these meal carts take place after dinner service. So students are still asked to eat dinner, but I mean, if a Portillo's Italian beef sandwich is your option in 30 minutes, many students sold out for that, or a chocolate cake shake for dinner or for dessert. So we do some timing along with that to make sure that we're not like competing with Lexington, even though the meals are prepaid, but so students still have that opportunity and it's not like they're missing their school meal. Okay. Apparel sales. So you all have been rock stars and buying some of our apparel, which is so nice. We had our fall store. I still have like a lot of items that haven't been picked up. And many of the names are from parents. So please send your student. Your student is welcome to pick up on your behalf. I seriously have like 30 or 40 like
bags that have not been picked up yet. So please do that. We did already send out our next store, and it's been going awesome. We have our undefeated IMSA football. Go IMSA football, right? So for those who don't know, our IMSA football team doesn't exist. So we've been undefeated because no one's beat us. And this has apparently been a running joke. Alumni are going crazy over the shirt. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. I think they can see the full screen. I'm
Click on
sorry.
that. Yeah, if you, oops,
Oh, no.
sorry. Yeah, right, that one.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. So this shirt is only released every 5 years, which makes it exclusive. So it'll still be sold next year, but it'll just have like the same logo and everything. So previously there was a 30-year shirt, and we've just reached our 35 years of undefeatedness. Is that a word? It's not a team, so it doesn't matter. But our goal was to sell 100 shirts and make about $1,000, and we're like quickly approaching $3,500 and 250 shirts. So, and we still have another week. So if you have not purchased your exclusive limited edition IMSA football shirt, get it now. I'll send some reminder emails out this week, but super excited about that.
And that's funding what?
So this is part of the senior class club fundraiser. So these funds will go to prom, essentially. This year's seniors, yes. So the senior 2022 is doing this fundraiser, yes. The shirt sales end on Halloween, and they will be arriving on the 17th, so that students will be able to take them home by extended. Okay. Senior yard signs. I'm not sure my camera's right here. Yay! If you have a senior, the yard signs are still available. They're $25. So that's again another senior fundraiser. I have some here if anybody here would like one. And then this is just an example of one of the junior meal carts. So the juniors are doing one the first week of November, and it's going to be Chipotle burritos. So just a heads up. Am I missing something? The Fall Festival, Nachi already covered, but that's another fundraiser that we're doing collectively with all 3 classes. So each class will have a different thing that's happening. The seniors are doing a 5K, which is a trick or trot. They're planning to have some ghosts and ghouls doing some tricks on the track. So if you're coming to run for like actual time, we'll try to figure that out. But it's supposed to be fun, and it's family friendly. So bring the kids. Yeah. So yes. It is a pre-registration, which I will send an email out again. In my next slide, we actually talk about it.
Even if you don't want to run, just come for fun, and you need to register.
We can talk about that. Not really. So if you would like to come and if you would like to support in other ways, you absolutely are welcome to do that. But yeah, we're running and walking.
Quick question on the senior yard sign.
Yes.
So I know you had it for extended available.
Yes.
So is that what you're doing again for parents who want to pick up? And
Absolutely.
What if parents aren't coming up to pick up their students for extended?
Students are welcome to take them. So students have been coming throughout the day to pick them up now. We just kind of pushed it for extended because we knew that parents would be on campus more.
So it's ongoing. And
it's ongoing until we sell out. Yes, the student life office is fine. It's probably easiest to have the student just come do it, but I know that there's a payment situation that the students probably don't have access to. So absolutely, it can come through my office. Not a problem. I'm going to very quickly just show you all. It's been on the screen. There's a lot of things happening. Nachi kind of talked about our fall festival. They're going to be carving pumpkins. You'll see them actually on your way out today. They'll be carving pumpkins on Monday. We have 150 giant pumpkins to have students carve them out and just make fun things as a contest. We're going to have a movie night, all these things that he mentioned already. There's going to be a scarecrow contest. And then this is just some of the other things that clubs are doing on campus. So your students should not be bored. If nothing else, they should not be bored. Just so you know that there's plenty of things for them to get involved with. I know a lot just has to balance with their school schedule and then their own mental health practices. Maybe they're walking and running or whatever they're doing. But there's things for them to do here on campus. And then this is just some highlights from events that have passed. I do want to say I'm so excited about the way homecoming turned out. We rented bleachers to have an outdoor assembly.
It was amazing. It was nice. It was actually kind of cool to see all the students out in that space. So we're kind of thinking of doing it again. Maybe not every year, but maybe every so often. I know last time, what is that, 2019, when we had the homecoming with the Friday Night Lights. So it might be one of those combinations of having a Friday Night Lights outside and then having the assembly out there as well, something along those lines. But it was really fun to see everyone, and we can do more messy, fun things outside, so they can do a little bit more crazy stuff. The homecoming dance was also held outside underneath our tent. It was great. Weather was scary, and then 5 minutes, I'm not kidding, 5 minutes before the dance started, the skies cleared and it was a perfect night. It was beautiful. Like, the weather was perfect. It was nothing wrong with it at all. So great. We've had outdoor movies. Carnival was amazing. So I'm just kind of highlighting some past things. And then this is my last one, but they've been doing a lot of other things. So we've had our culture show, we've had a Latinx festival, which was amazing. We've had therapy dogs here. So students got to connect with 5 different dogs 3 days in a row and just spend some time relaxing and enjoying themselves. We've rented out a theater at Tinseltown twice, actually. We rented out 2 theaters, and I forgot the movie that we saw, but the kids had a great time.
Shang-Chi.
What was it?
Shang-Chi.
Was it Shang-Chi? Okay, Shang-Chi. Okay. Yep. We've done some beautification, so some fall gardening. So we're getting some opportunities for them to get outside and just enjoy natural air in a fun way. The students, so the orange shirts here, that is, I believe, our sophomores, or maybe our the juniors. We did our day of service. So both sophomores and juniors had a day of service. So this is when we went and did some park cleanup in one of the local parks here. And then the top right corner was another mental health week initiative. We made emotional stuffed animals as opposed to an emotional support animal. So this was a Build-A-Bear workshop, and they got to, put together their own thing and name their friend. They got a birth certificate. It was amazing. But yeah, that's kind of what's happening in student activities. I talked very fast. Hopefully it's clear, but I'm ready for questions if we have any.
For purchasing shirts, you sent out emails, and sometimes it's put on Facebook, but is there a link like from the website? The parents can't find it in their email, can't do something else. Is it on the website that they could find a way to find how to buy shirts or apparel?
I can resend it. I don't know if I can get it quickly enough to put it in the chat.
Someone put the chat for the undefeated.
Okay. Somebody already put it?
Yes.
Oh, awesome.
But there were questions
But some people are having a hard time, like, they're not on this call today, or in general, they can't find it in their email. So the question is then, can there be a permanent way to have it like on the website?
Yes.
Like, this is the current store, or store will be opening this.
Absolutely.
So they know when it's coming.
Yes, we can figure out how to do that. Yes. And then also the Student Affairs newsletter goes out once a month. I think ours went out yesterday. And it does have the undefeated link on there. It does have that this is mostly in person for the senior yard sign right now. We're hoping to get that moved to My School Bucks. It just takes a little bit of time. But that's the other thing is our future sales, we're hoping to do more on My School Bucks to allow people to pay with electronic forms of payment. And we know that that's been something that's been like a concern or an ask. And I almost forgot this, one last thing. We are doing a winter sale, so that won't come out until after the football sale ends. But this is, can you see it? It's called a Siesta Wrap. It was created by IMSA students, class of 2021, as part of one of the talent projects that was here. So we will be selling these. It will be branded differently. I'm not sure of the branding quite yet. So it is a pillow, essentially, with a blanket, and then it wraps up into the pillow.
This way when you're laying down under the stairs.
Yeah, wherever, yeah.
Right?
Yes, so this is an IMSA product that was created. And we'll be selling these as well as an IMSA ugly sweater shirt as our holiday sale, because everyone loves an ugly sweater, right? It's a shirt though, so to make it more cost effective. But these are things that we're going to make sure that are on My School Bucks. And then the timeline will be that they are available for pickup the week prior to extended, or figuring out, like, if it's a surprise from parents to students, we'll figure out a way of doing that as well.
Some parents wanted to know if the sales for like the most recent spirit wear with the grandparents and the parents are going to be available again soon because they missed out.
Probably not that exact stuff, but if if there is something that we would like, so if we really like the grandparent or the parent type item, we're just going, it would be like a different color and a different style probably, but we can, if that's something that's wanted, we can have more of that.
And do you think that'll be available before the holidays?
We could make it available if that's something that people want. I'm welcome to any ideas for sure. Any other questions?
I know you're doing stores online, like shirts.
Yes.
And sweaters. Do you think it's gonna be ever that in person you choose and try them on? And
Yeah, so I was going to bring some here. I didn't bring it, but especially if you want to just look right after the meeting, I do have some stuff that's discounted because it was items that were purchased pre-pandemic. So I have t-shirts, and so in person, I have a limited supply of t-shirts that are $10, long sleeve that are $15, and hoodies that are $20. But these, yes, so yes, we can, if anyone is interested that's here, I can show you that right after here. I also have yard signs available. Tomorrow is preview day, so a lot of our, prospective IMSA students will be here, and I'll be selling those items to them too. You never know. So yes, there are options to get some things in person.
We have got our credit card.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any questions for Brittany on the call? Feel free to unmute or put them in the chat. Okay. And Brittany, what's the best email to reach you if they have questions?
Put it right in here. If you need to contact me, email is right there.
Okay, so she put her email on the chat. When we recap, we'll send that out as well. And from all of us parents, we just wanted to give you a great big thank you for you and your team and everything that you've been organizing for our students. So thank you very much. Appreciate that. And thank you for this recap.
Yes. Okay.
So before we conclude the meeting, there was one thing I forgot to add in our general meeting, but Kevin Broy, who is part of the technology team here at IMSA, along with IST, which is the IMSA Student Productions team, they're going to be putting together a website which will be rolling out in the next few months that will have pictures of students. So you'll be able to see a lot of what the kids have been doing on campus. So he wanted to share that and share that that is upcoming. And once that link is available, they will be sending that out. So I know a lot of parents have been saying, I just wonder what my kids are doing. And I know some parents have been getting pictures from their students, but a lot of others are not on their request. So that's a great thing. So again, thank you everyone for joining us today. There was a lot of information covered. So again, thank you to all of the contributors and all of the PAC representatives that came and shared updates. So again, we will be sharing this recording this coming week. And if you have any questions for any of our speakers, feel free to reach out to them, or you can reach out to us at theimsapac@gmail.com. We'll make sure that they get that information. So with that, I'll conclude the meeting. And again, thank you to the in-person audience. And I hope that more parents are able to join us for future meetings in person. And also thank you to all of you for joining us via Zoom. So with that, hope you enjoy your weekend, and thank you again. Bye-bye.